Hello, everyone. I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle from Washington tonight. Thanks so much for being with us. Americans say no. That's the focus of tonight's angle. This is what Americans are facing this Christmas. The cost of living in the Biden economy is so high that more people are raiding their 401ks to pay their bills. Of course, our border, total chaos, 8 million migrants from across the globe and counting, including violent criminals and prospective terrorists. The government releasing 5,000 migrants into the country every day with, this really stunned me, 670,000 known gotaways in fiscal year 2023 alone. Now, the open border has helped sink our cities into squalor and has deadly consequences in small-town America as well.
Rafael Govea Romero is now behind bars in Jackson County, charged with capital murder in the death of 16-year-old Lisbeth Medina. Edna police say Romero is undocumented.
Nobody ever wants to see their child in a bathtub the way I found her. Nobody. The curtains were closed, so I didn't see her, but when I opened those curtains, I just want justice for my baby.
Murdered her, left her in the bathtub. If all of that's not bad enough for you, there are new concerns that the tens of thousands of Chinese nationals, mostly young men, lined up at the border in recent weeks to see the video, could be coming here to join sleeper cells to hit our critical infrastructure. More on this later. And I think the most heartbreaking story of all this Christmas, that more Americans believe the American dream is out of reach, even when you work hard and do the right thing. This is the America that Joe Biden and the globalists have created for us. Spend us into oblivion, borrow and print money like there's no tomorrow, weaken the dollar, drive up inflation, destroy hopes for a better future. Oh, and by the way, destroy public faith in institutions like the DOJ and the FBI. Oh, and poison our kids, yeah, with radical anti-American propaganda, then divide the country into pools of racial, ethnic, and sexual victims. And then when all that's done, expect those Americans to rally around the Ukrainian flag in order to give them a better life? Trust the same people who had us mired in Iraq and Afghanistan and then botched the withdrawal? What Volodymyr Zelensky, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, and Biden want us to all believe is that if we don't pony up billions more to Ukraine, all hell will break loose and Vladimir Putin will declare victory.
If we don't stop Putin, it'll endanger the freedom of everyone, almost everywhere. Putin will keep going, and would-be aggressors everywhere will be emboldened to try to take what they can by force.
Then it's a ground war, right? Your sons and your daughters, their blood is going to be spilled. They're going to die. This was the message from the Ukrainian president as well, who met with lawmakers and the president of the United States in Washington today. And this entire sad saga shows us that once again, 77 years after the end of World War II, Europe is still not capable of or interested in defending itself. We're told that Ukraine's freedom depends entirely on the United States borrowing billions more to keep them fighting Russia and paying their government workers.
Fighting for freedom. We stand firm no matter what Putin tries. He hasn't won any victories.
Thomas Jefferson, right. Well, there's nothing like having a foreign leader travel here to demand more money after he's failed to hit any benchmark of progress for which the original funds were appropriated. But if you don't give him more money right now, you're going to lose your entire investment. He's the Bernie Madoff of wartime presidents. What are we funding exactly? Ever think about that? His much ballyhooed summer offensive was offensively ineffective. Zelensky refuses to allow an election next year. How's that for democracy? He's declared martial law in Ukraine. He's banned the speaking of the native language, Russian, of millions of its own citizens. And who's seen the top government ministers in his own country embroiled in major corruption scandals that involve an obscene amount of money that the U.S. taxpayers have already given it? Even the Ukrainian people see the problem with billions in aid floating around in the hands of incompetent Zelensky insiders. An opinion poll commissioned by Transparency International found that 77% of Ukrainians see corruption as a major concern. Another poll found that Ukrainians see corruption as a high security threat. Get this, even higher than the threat of a nuclear strike by Russia. Now, if the grift and if the corruption issue doesn't bother the White House, I guess that shouldn't surprise any of us, given what we know about the greed and sleaze of the Biden family. And while Zelensky has taken some modest steps, we have to be fair, to address the corruption issue, Americans are so fed up, they just want us to focus on addressing our own problems right now. That means problems here at home. And contrary to what President Biden said late today at his press conference, a bipartisan majority does not any longer support continuing the flow of money to Ukraine. A new CNN poll shows that overall, 55% say the U.S. Congress should not authorize additional funding to support Ukraine versus 45% who say Congress should authorize such funding. And by the way, 51% say that the U.S. has already done enough to help Ukraine. 48% say we should do more. But look, we know this. What the American people want, a strong border, strong industrial base, safe streets, high educational standards, none of it matters to this White House. Instead, they want to cater to the needs of a country that is not even a NATO ally.
I just signed another $200 million drawdown from the Department of Defense for Ukraine, and that'll be coming. Congress needs to pass a supplemental funding for Ukraine before they break the holiday recess, before they give Putin the greatest Christmas gift they could possibly give him.
But if Ukraine loses, America will be humiliated. Our global status will be diminished, they say. Well, I hate to break it to all the globalists who are using that old line, but thanks to their policies, America already has been diminished. America already has been humiliated. We are in a state of decline, and everyone knows it. They spent the last decade telling us that we were systematically racist. How is that a country anyone would want to emulate, if that's all true? At this point, I think China has to be laughing. Biden sucks up to Xi as Xi is partnering with Putin, and then America goes into debt to help Ukraine beat Putin. Can you explain that to me? It makes zero sense. Our only hope is to rebuild America. That means manufacture things here, decouple from China, grow our economy, cut government spending, and reform every major institution that has failed to deliver wins. And that includes the Pentagon. And that's The Angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.